What is up, guys? Midwest Gaming here, and who are we here with?
Adrian Gonzalez.
And what do you do today?
I died in the top 32 of the North American Championship.
Gotcha. What did you play?
I played Adventure Nights.
Nice. The only one in Top Cut.
Got it.
Let's see the list.
There is 4 PKs, 3 torn skills, 3 boots, 2 cloak, 1 gloves. Please don't play Stain Greaves. That card's unplayable. Yeah, like everything else is like standard. For like generic level 3 extenders, junk forward, psychic wielder and tracker. We got 3 water enchantress and 1 griffin. For like actual monster hand traps, play 3 ash, a nib, and a ogre.
Why was it those for the monster hand traps?
I'll explain that in a bit.
Okay.
For the rest of the Faithful engine was a 2 right, Draco back, and Faithful.
Oh god, no. 2 right. Sheesh.
3 prosperity. This card's insane. This card's also insane. This card is just like one of the best cards in the game. Then we got 3 droplet, 1 dark ruler, 1 of the rank up spell, 2 fog blade, wings, and shade briganding, and 3 emperor.
So 44 cards?
Yeah, it's 44 cards. So in 44 cards with like 12 going second cards, you have a little over 80% chance of opening 1 and like a 40, like almost exactly 40% chance of opening 2. So initially in testing, both of these were nibs, but I wanted to like respect Despia a little bit more, and so like I considered like this card to like replace one of the nibs, and essentially like they're both the same card because they both like need another one of these to go alongside them to like actually do something, while also being like decent on their own against like some like weak hands. This card is just the better one when you go second specifically, whereas this one's better when you go first for obvious reasons. So like that's why I like did the 1-1 split. 1 Ghost Ogre, obviously because like utility target, it stops the Calamity play versus the Punk deck, and these 9 are just like crazy, so like you max out on these. For PKs, this card's a little weird to draw because of like the right package, but like it's also just like the best one. I think the best opening hands are like when you have this and like, or like one of these two with like this. So like Boots is the one you always want to open for sure, and like basically these are like 6 normal summons of the deck, so like it works out, especially with like the discard of Faithful. For the Phantom Knight spells and traps, I think 5 is like the right number, but honestly like I tried cutting, I like theoried out cutting this down to 1 to just play 4 and like play essentially less bricks, but like a second one comes up in like some lines of play, because like you can't always get this out, and when you can't get this out, you have like cards to get double fog blade out with the Griffin. This card's just like honestly crazy. Like a second name, Trap Revival, is like insane. It's basically like a free searchable extender in like a lot of your hands. So like that's why I really like a second name Trap.
Sure.
I honestly do think that like whether this is wings or sword, it probably doesn't matter anymore as much as it used to. So like there could be some consideration to like play sword, because it gives like an extra attack boost and it still like protects you once. Because like when you activate this to like protect your monsters, a lot of the time in the damage step, so like you just take like 300 less damage with sword. So like I'd probably consider swapping this for sword later. And then like this card you like basically have to play, because I don't play the BA, so like this is the only way I can search another dark when I send Enchantress with Cherubini, if I like go for like the safe play. For extenders, it was these and these. So initially I had like cut down on like a lot of these, basically going down to like this. But I don't know, like without having like Amaraj being like a real play in the deck to make Verte anymore, like you really need like to guarantee that you put like 2 level 3s on board to like make sure you're playing the game. So I felt like it was necessary to like play like the standard amount of extenders on top of the Enchantress and right, to be able to use the Griffin a lot more effectively. This card's just crazy. It's essentially just like a really broken version of Upstart.
Right.
And like there's like theory out there that like if you like know, you know, but like you really should be playing like Upstart in like every single deck.
Sure.
No matter the deck count. But like it also like messes up this math, so like that's why some people don't do it. Like if it wasn't important to like open a hand trap every game, then like Upstart would be in everybody's deck. And like this is just a really broken version of Upstart, so like you can justify this over the Upstart. So the right package is this.
Why 2 right?
I'll get to that.
Okay.
So Enchantress is like you're like up to 9th. You're 7th, 8th, and 9th normal summon, because like Enchantress extender gets you the same as like PK extender. And like Cherubini is always dumping this, so like you always have access to right. And like basically if you open like anywhere near playable, you always have this going for you. So I felt like this was like one of the only cards that like conflicted in my hands, because there are a lot of times where there's literally nothing better to send than like a random PK. So like I'd rather, if I open playable, like not hard draw this or like hard draw this, just to like dump it and make sure that Cherubini gets as much value as it's supposed to get. Griffin's obviously insane on the gate. This card's insane, that card's insane. That's for the main deck. For extra, we got my Mareep,
Adios.
Amaraj, Cherubini, Dark, IP, Rusty, Unicorn, Access Code, Levy, 2 Break Sword, Raider's Knight, Dark Rebellion, Dark Requiem, and Zeus package. So like these cards don't come up that often, but it funny enough came up in the very first match, very first game that I played in the tournament, where like my opponent break in like set 3, so I just went normal, special, made break sword, attack, down there Zeus, and just like double Zeus, forcing double imperm. And then I was still able to play after that because I made him with like PKs.
Right.
So like that was crazy. But yeah, like these cards don't come up too often, but when they do, like you really miss them. It also makes like going in second like really simple sometimes, because you just hand trap your opponent and then like you can just like Zeus them to get rid of like whatever they have on board. Dark Requiem and Dark Rebellion. I think these are the better rank up cards over Ophion, because these are more flexible, and like this not being a once per turn negate is like really crazy.
Yeah.
Because it's Monster Reborn too, so it just gets you free follow up and it just stops your opponent from playing. It also triggers Rusty's pop, which is like pretty neat. So it means that like the rank up spell like exchanges with like 2 droplet discards if they like hold drop it for that long. A lot of the time I would hold this and be like very patient with this. So like not all the times where I set this up that I rank it up, just because like people want to like force you to rank it up and then they like droplet or Dark Riddler your board. But if you have like this engrave and a Griffin, like you can use those negates first, and they have to play really awkwardly and unoptimal into them. That makes it like very free like afterward. It just like helps you not die, which is what you like want to do in this deck, since you have a real engine and you, like on the crackback you can just kill your opponent.
Right.
Double break sword and this. Usually you don't need a second break sword, but like without DPE it's like hard to like get spot removal in the deck, or like a large amount of spot removal. So I played this card and a second break sword just to get like 3 pops, 1 with Rusty and 2 from break sword before going into Dark Rebellion. This card came up I think like 3 times. That was pretty neat. Levier just like recycles resources. Yeah, card's good. Access code kills your opponent and pops cards.
Nice.
Unicorn and IP. So there's like some times when your opponent like successfully like interrupts your like combo, where like you can't make Arc Rebellion, so you end on like IP and use the token after you Griffin negate to make Unicorn. Sometimes you can like discard a trap 2 to get like the break sword pop on the Rusty too. Rusty discards crazy. It's like everything you want from like an engine like supporter mon. Dark discards also just crazy because like this is a dark deck, a dark strategy. People are playing souls, people like already play dark mons. You can take like rose dragons with it to make Cherubini. Yeah, like cards just like really good.
Yeah.
No complaints. This card's obviously crazy.
Yeah.
It lets your whole deck just like flow with itself. Gives you access to like both engines in your deck with like almost every hand. And this card was like a last minute addition, like 2 days before. So like I used to play the BAs in the deck, and like this was Appaloosa because you can make Appaloosa with the BAs with like Griffin and this dude. But when I cut those cards, like Appaloosa stopped coming up like at all ever, unless like there's like some very specific scenario where like you can IP into Appaloosa when you couldn't make this dude. But like those hands were like even rare because like your hand had to be crazy and your opponent had to hand trap you.
Right.
So like I just caught Appaloosa, and then there was like this card and the shark that burns for like each banished monster.
Yeah.
So like that card would like win you games in time, but I value the like small amount of extra consistency that like Amirage offered, because there's like some very, very weird hands where you just need to like normal summon the PK, get engraved, banish it, add trap, and then like you're able to play it from there, whereas otherwise you couldn't. And like this card came up either 2 or 3 times, and in one of those times it was the only line of play I had to like win the game. So like picking this card for like the small amount of added consistency that it gave was like very much worth it, I think. For side, we got 3 Droll, 2 Crow, 2 Nib, Cosmic, Twin, Buster, Evenly, a Reboot, followed by Crossout and Anti-Spell.
That's a lot of one-ups.
Yeah, so Cosmic is obviously crazy. This card just hits hand traps and like this stops spells. So like I wanted both of these to be crossouts, but this card was just like slightly better going into the Despion matchup. So like to improve it slightly, I just like swapped it out for Cloudby. Because obviously this card can hit like Imprims and Nibs, which are the things that actually kill your deck. And like it can hit Droplet too, which also kills your deck. It hits right, it hits Itelli. Like this card's like pretty crazy, but like Despia's also kind of crazy, so you gotta respect that deck. Especially because that's like one of this deck's like hardest matchups is Despia, so like that's why I played these cards. Like I didn't even want to play this card, but like Despia's scared.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, that's why I chose like these. For back row cards, it was these. So like I don't really see this as like one-ups, I just see them as like 5 back row cards. Like these cards are just all the same. This card's like very easy to like side in versus like other adventure decks, and just off the off chance that like they play mine in their deck, and at worst it trades with Faithful if you draw it. Rarely would I ever like not hit anything, like ever. Against Dragon is obviously crazy because they play field spells. So Harpy is Harpy, Reboot is Reboot. Both of these were Lightning Storm at one point. Then I like started like theorying like the format as a whole, and I realized that like Flu was like set up pretty well into the weekend, so like I wanted to respect that deck a little more, so I like swapped one for a twin, so like it went down to like 1 Lightning Storm. But like Lightning Storm would like end up losing to this card, which was also like pretty popular since people started cutting D-Barrier and putting this card instead. So I didn't want to have like a Lightning Storm and then like not be able to use it. That was mainly for like a Sword Soul matchup too, where like this card would come in, and obviously it just hits back row too, so that's why I picked those cards. Second and third Nib. So like again, like this card paired with any other hand trap, like just like destroys every combo player's dream.
True.
Had that happen a lot to me.
Same.
Except it just didn't end my dream.
Oh.
This card was probably the least used card in my side deck. but that's probably because I didn't play like nearly as many of like Despia decks or like just Grave Reliant decks as I like thought I would, but like I still want to play them again because like Despia is like a really hard matchup for the deck in general, and like without DP it's even harder to like keep up with the deck. So you just like really need to like see your side deck cards to like beat that deck, unless you go first, in which case you just pray they don't see their side deck cards. Then 3 draw. So initially it was like 2 draw and like some other hand trap, but like whenever I started in draw and whenever it was used against me in like testing, like it just seemed like the craziest hand trap like in the format, like as long as you were going up against combos. So like I just always wanted to see this card whenever I set it in.
Yeah. All right.
And that's the deck.
Any shoutouts?
Shout out to Marie.
YGO Daily.
Shout out to this one right here, right? YGO Daily. Shout out to the bozo behind the camera, Joe Dietrich.
Adios.
Shout out to Midwest Gaming. Shout out to Emporium TCG. And shout out to everybody who like supported me in the weekend, who believed in me. Shout out to the people that didn't believe in me, but also told me to prove them wrong about not believing in me. Shout out to the very few amount of people that helped me test. It was very tough like testing for this weekend because like I like recently got into Pokemon, so I had like 2 weeks after like Pokemon Nationals to test for this event, which is why I just went back to like something that I knew, which was PK. Because like if anything, like I could just play this deck better than like anyone else could, and like just outplay them.
All right. Thanks, bro.